Imagine you are driving a car on an endless empty highway. You locked the steering wheel straight ahead 40 years ago. You haven't touched the brakes. You haven't touched the gas. There is no wind. There is no road. Just nothing. Now imagine that suddenly, without you touching a thing, the car turns. It doesn't drift. It steers. It points itself toward a dark music patch of the desert and stops, waiting. This isn't a hypothetical. This is happening right now, 15 billion music m from Earth. NASA says its Voyager 1 probe is sending usable information again. But the story they are telling the public is music just the tip of the iceberg. For 46 years, Voyager 1 obeyed its design. Send data. Never turn. Never listen. Then, without warning, the antenna shifted. Something answered. Not from Earth and not from any known star, but from a patch of sky that should have been empty. What happened next wasn't just strange. It was impossible. Voyager 1 didn't music, just break. It made a choice. Or maybe something made the choice for it. Let's understand the victim here. Voyager 1 is a relic. Launched on September 5, music 1977. It's a machine with 800 W of plutonium power and a memory smaller than a single JPEG. It has no advanced AI, no sensors, music to scan for life. It was built to do one thing: leave. It raced past Jupiter and Saturn. Music crossed the heliopause in 2012 and entered the interstellar medium, the borderless, unnamed stretch of music space beyond the sun's influence. Out there, the sun is just another pinprick of light. There is no solar wind to push it, no gravitational music fields to guide it. By all laws of physics, nothing should happen there. For over 40 years, it drifted in silence. It was the farthest object humans have music ever touched, floating in the cosmic equivalent of a sensory deprivation tank. But on November 6, 2023, that silence didn't just break. It shattered. It started with a transmission that looked off. The data came back, music distorted, like a static file stream that didn't follow any known pattern. NASA engineers initially chalked it up to the usual suspects: cosmic radiation, music, or degraded wiring. After all, it is a 46-year-old machine. But then Voyager's fault protection systems kicked in. These are emergency protocols designed for catastrophic failures, like if the spacecraft spins uncontrollably. But here is the scary part. They engaged with no clear trigger. There was no command from mission control, no debris impact. Yet Voyager started music, acting like it had been hit by something invisible. Telemetry logs became unreadable. Orientation records vanished, and onboard clocks drifted music out of sync. This wasn't random data loss. It was something that reached deeper, music, into the structure of the spacecraft itself. It reacted to an event it couldn't process, essentially screaming in music panic at something we couldn't see. If the data was weird, the physical movement was impossible. Not long after the emergency systems fired, Voyager 1 did something it should never be able to do on its own. It turned. The spacecraft's high-gain antenna, which is biologically programmed to stay locked on Earth to phone home, shifted position, but it didn't realign with us. Instead, it aimed toward a patch of sky with nothing visible. Here is where the physics gets broken. The shift didn't involve the music spacecraft's thrusters. There was no propulsion recorded, no jets firing. It was as if the orientation simply changed on its own. NASA ran every scenario: hacks, software bugs, solar pressure, but everything was ruled out. The onboard gyroscopes recorded a torque music event, a physical rotation. A machine drifting through the most silent, empty region of space known music to humanity was pushed. It felt like a subtle, intentional adjustment, like something out there understood Voyager's music design and wanted to steer it. And where did it point? To a null zone, a theoretical pocket where gravitational music forces cancel out. A place Voyager shouldn't even know exists. Once Voyager locked onto this music null zone, it stopped acting like a confused robot and started acting like a receiver. The antenna stayed locked. And then the plasma wave subsystem picked music up something new. It wasn't the chaotic static of deep space. It was a tone, a soft, steady hum holding at 30,000 hertz. Researchers called it the plasma melody, Because it pulsed with music, a consistent rhythm. Acoustic engineers analyzed the waveform and found mirrored structures and evenly music space pauses. It moved like a melody written in numbers. But buried inside that hum was data. Impossible data. It wasn't temperature or velocity readings. It was hexadecimal strings, music, recursive formulas, and fractal symmetry. Some numbers matched astronomical constants, music, but with a precision Voyager's 1970s instruments couldn't possibly measure. It was as if the probe had been used music, as a vessel carrying someone else's data back to Earth. The signal came in clean, direct, and narrow, focused on Voyager 1 alone. It didn't spill over to other probes like Pioneer. Whatever sent this knew exactly music, where Voyager was, and exactly when it would arrive. While Voyager was singing this impossible math song, music scientists back on Earth didn't just sit there listening. They looked. They took ground-based observatories, music, and aimed high-exposure infrared arrays at that exact empty patch of sky Voyager had turned to face. At first, nothing, just blackness. But they kept the shutter open, and weeks into music the scan, the data began to bleed through. It wasn't a star, and it wasn't a galaxy. It was a glow, a faint shimmering halo at the music's very edge of detection. But here is the creepy part. It was alive. The halo didn't stay still. It blinked. And it didn't just blink randomly. It responded to us. Researchers noticed that every time our sun emitted a solar flare, a burst of charged particles, the halo flickered back moments later. It wasn't a reflection. The timing was deliberate, syncing to the solar rhythm like a dancer following a beat. We weren't just looking music at a cloud of gas.